but it would be something Marvel hasn't done before, and I'm not certain they're going to do it.
Yeah. I was thinking about it like literally just as you were talking right now.
Best time to think.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to shut him off. I'm going to only think of, I can't think right
just
now.
Like, guys, just wait. He'll tire himself out. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Breakroom. It's your two favorite coworkers, Alex Berg and Brian Kim. We're going to talk about some stuff. Let us open up with the gentle roasts of the week. There are a couple this week.
There's a couple. They're gentle.
Now,
they're gentle.
There is, within the comments, there are subgenres of comments. One of the most well-trod subgenres at this point is giving Brian crap for his tie. which brings us our first two gentle roasts of the week. One from Qui-Gon Wayne, who says, Brian looks like a guy who listens to Foxy Shazam.
Which is like, I read that. I actually didn't know how to feel. I'm like, is that a roast or like, are you saying?
I think you should feel bad.
Because I only know Foxy Shazam because
from Peacemaker.
From Peacemaker.
Yeah.
So it's like, are you saying that I'm like James Gunn? Am I like Peacemaker himself? Am I just a guy who looks like I like rock in the 2000s?
Yeah, I was gonna say it feels like a very specific breed of like, almost like Darkness era, like hair metal revival. You know, the other gentle roast for Brian comes from Brother Hemp. Brother Hemp says, "Hey Brian, Avril Lavigne called. She wants her tie back."
You know what? That's fair enough. You know, Avril Lavigne's cool. Right?
She's great.
She's cool. So I'll take it as a compliment.
Isn't there like some kind of like Mandela effect conspiracy theory that like she died and was replaced with a body double or something like
that's
that?
Like half of all musicians.
So maybe you're the OG Avril Lavigne.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Now our third gentle roast of the week from Lorenzo Toya, 3955 says Berg equals Rick and Morty Rick, which now I don't know. This is all the context I have. To me, that's a dig. To me, that's a dig. Like, oh, you're like that alcoholic guy who can't stop belching.
But he's also
emotionally abuses his family.
He's also the smartest man in the universe. He's also the for all intents and purposes, the protagonist hero of the show. So
yeah. I mean, I think it is meant in good faith.
Yeah, because you're like a science guy.
I think that's how it's meant.
And he's the only other science guy in all of media.
Yeah. But I'm gonna take that as a dig. Although I will say, for as all cartoon characters do, Rick has a uniform he wears.
True.
There was a period when I was like 24, 25, where I wore a lab coat everywhere I went.
Really?
My logic was.
So funny.
My logic was, you could see there's like pictures of me like at Bigfoot Lodge doing karaoke wearing a lab coat. But my logic was, if grown adults can walk around wearing sports jerseys to show they're fans of basketball or football or whatever, why can't I wear a lab coat to show that I'm a fan of science?
Okay.
And to my way of thinking, if you're going to accept someone wearing a hockey jersey at a bar, just like, hey, that's normal. He's not playing hockey. It's not even his name on the jersey.
You're opening my eyes right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You're so right.
You're saying some adult man can go around wearing a hockey jersey and we're all just supposed to be like, that's fine.
But
I wear a lab coat and everyone's like, sir, what are you doing? My manager at the Apple store is like, you can't wear that while you're working.
That's true.
Yeah.
You're a fan of science. I'm
a fan of
all
science. But then I just got tattoos, so that's easy.
Right.
I feel like we have so much stuff to catch up on. It was a very eventful weekend. Our weekend catch up is normally kind of like, what'd you get up to recreationally?
True.
But you were based on Slack. I was off this weekend. I had a great time. It's not true. I had a terrible weekend. But based on Slack, you were here all weekend working on covering all the D23 news with the rest of the new Rockstars crew for the live streams and stuff.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
Well, it wasn't the whole weekend. Fortunately, Friday was the bulk of the information. That's when like the entertainment showcase was happening. So we did stay up pretty late for that.
But it seemed like there was just a lot going on.
Yeah, it was like more announcements at this D23 than like the past everything for Marvel like in like the past 2 years. I feel like
it does. We had kind of talked about after Comic-Con, like, hey, releasing the Avengers trailer earlier made it feel like there was going to be something very big at Hall H. D23 felt like the Hall H we had all kind of hoped for.
Yeah. And I can imagine part of it, the X-Men, a large part of the X-Men cast was announced. And probably a lot of it was like people were still signing things and things were getting like solidified. And maybe they couldn't get the information out before Comic-Con. At the same time, I'm sure they just wanted to save something for D23. That's like their convention.
And I think like, with the timing of Comic-Con, they were still at that point being coy about Sadie Sink's role, as Jean Grey. And now that cat's out of the bag, okay, and here's all the others.
Go full D23.
Let's very much jumping around here a little bit, but let's talk about the X-Men casting news we got out of D23. So we already knew Jake Schreier was directing. We now have a release date of May 5th. 2028. May the 5th be with you. We got Sadie Sink as Jean Grey, Kit Connor as Scott Summers, Christopher Abbott as Connecticut native, as Professor Charles Xavier, Samara Weaving as Emma Frost, Indy Navarrete as Rogue, Maya Boyd as Storm, and Adam Driver as Mr. Sinister. So I was with family all weekend. I didn't have time to follow it. Literally, like my updates were just me following the internal Slack thread and being like, oh boy, this seems like a very fun cast to me.
Yeah. I mean, especially Adam Driver. First of all, the fact that they're doing Mr. Sinister at all.
That's what I'm saying.
Is crazy.
That's what I'm saying. It's like Mr. Sinister is the Rocky Horror of X-Men X-Men villains. Like he's campy, he's over the top. There's like, it's so much. And like, I don't think that necessarily means that the whole movie is going to be campy. But when you combine that with Indy Navarrete as Rogue, and Samara Weaving, who again is capable of more than comedy, but is a very accomplished comedic actress. I think that this might be like a very fun X-Men movie. I was really excited by this cast.
Me too. It's just, I mean, it looks like we're going to get a pretty young X-Men. The fact that Sadie Sink and Kit Connor and Maya Boyd, they're all in like, I think they're mid to low 20s.
Mid to low 20s, playing like middle school teen.
Or like, or some sort of teenage.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a lot of fun because so far in our X-Men media, we've always had the Jean, Cyclops, Storm, that generation of students was like, that's Xavier's first group of students.
Yeah.
But then the stories that we were told after were always like the next generation.
Right. And it was always like, I feel like Storm and Jean Grey in particular.
Yeah.
Cyclops always has this kind of like, he's a dick, he's the Leonardo, like sort of leader role. But Jean and Storm occupy like different kind of female archetypes. Jean in the maternal role. Storm is this like, elder goddess, like kind of thing who sort of knows everything. So I'm very curious to flip the script on that and see what it's like when Storm is much younger, when Jean Grey is much younger.
I like to see that the core cast becoming the new teachers or whatever. Like it'll be fun to see these guys grow up because we generally see them grown up already. That I think just having this change is going to be a lot of fun.
I mean, something you had raised a couple weeks ago before we knew the casting, we knew Sadie Sink obviously, is you were talking about how much Jean Grey, Cyclops, Wolverine, how critical that love triangle is to so many of those stories and those emotional arcs. Something I'm noticing looking at this cast is we have, for the first time in my memory on screen, a Professor X without a Magneto anywhere in sight.
Oh, sure.
And so I'm really curious to see what sort of storylines that opens up, what sorts of new relationships that frees Charles up to have, because him and Magneto are so simpatico.
Yeah.
Simpatico is the wrong word, but like they frenemies. What's the word I'm looking for?
The frenemies is right. I think that's right.
Yeah. I'll go with it until I come up with something better. But like they've always been kind of two sides of the same coin. Like, very powerful, very intellectual. Magneto's always sort of they've both served as sounding boards for one and the other. to kind of, bounce these sort of like very like, deeply thought out ideas about what it means to be a mutant, what a mutant's place in society should be. I'm curious to see what Xavier is like without that sounding board.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe they are going to have. Maybe they just didn't cast or announce Magneto yet. Maybe
I'm sure there's other characters we'll get. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be really interesting. The fact that Mr. Sinister is going to be, I assume, their first main villain, because Mr. Sinister, there's so much that is. He's kind of the nexus for a lot of X-Men stories.
Yeah.
Where like he's the reason why Cable exists. He's the reason why like the Goblin Queen is a thing. Like they're gonna, and I think there's a reason they didn't use him for the movies back then, because that's when it was like comic books are a little bit embarrassing, so we're trying to cool it up a little.
Yeah, everyone's gonna be wearing black leather.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is the coolest thing. It's black leather,
dude,
as we know.
Dude, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Dude, I showed up today wearing a black leather onesie, and Brian said, "Dude,
black leather onesie."
I showed up today wearing a black leather onesie. I got off my motorcycle, and Brian said, "Dude, you look too cool. We're gonna break the cameras.
That's true.
You got to put on the normal crap you wear.
I'm gonna look like a loser next to you. I can't do this.
Everyone's gonna think I listen to Foxy Shazam.
Yeah, they clocked me.
Yeah. They got you dead to rights, dude.
But yeah, so I appreciate that they're in this like new embrace of the comic bookiness of it all, that they're gonna bring Mr. Sinister, and this way we can tell different stories in these movies that we haven't done before.
Yeah,
we could tell these kinds of interesting, weird storylines. And I think with Secret Wars, we're assuming they're trying to collapse the multiverse stories into like one universe again.
It seems that way,
which I think would lead to it being. It makes more sense now if we do the Mr. Sinister Cable storylines, because that kind of really depends on having one real
like a linear
timeline.
time travel device,
where he goes back and forth in the one timeline. And so once they reset that, I think they're able to tell that story more.
Yeah,
or like in a way that won't interrupt the lore of everything. So I appreciate the direction they're going.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, I was really excited by this, obviously I was at a little bit of a disadvantage because I'm kind of like catching up on everything after the fact. So it's like, I didn't have the moment of like Adam Driver's Mag Sinister. Okay. Like
actually, dude, when we're on stream,
dude, I was following the Slack and you guys seem like, pissed.
I was like, why would you make that joke? Why would you do it?
I like it. I kind of like it. I have to say, like, it is kind of a fun, like, kicking sand in your face, for like the people like us who are streaming, like, I think that's pretty funny.
And as a Mr. Sinister bit, honestly, that kind of works.
It's a little sinister introduction.
It's a little sinister thing he's doing.
Yeah.
Thinking about
do you think we're going to get Adam Driver, white pancake face paint, black lip liner?
You have to, right? I feel like you have to.
I would love that. I would love if he shows up looking like the Crow.
Because Mr. Sinister is such a look.
Yeah.
That anything other than that is going to be like, well, why even have this character?
Yeah.
Although that's the thing. Do you
think they're going to file his teeth down?
Yeah, they're going to make it. Actually sharp. It's funny because the only things I imagine Adam Driver in are things like, Kylo Ren or the other dramatic movies that he's done where he's more brooding. That it is kind of hard for me to imagine him as this almost silly villain. And so I'm wondering if they're going to play it more like earnestly or if they're going to play it more like, woohoo, I'm a villain, I'm going to do stuff.
He probably won't go full... He probably won't go finger wiggling.
I don't know. They might.
But I do think of him as pretty versatile, and this is like, I don't know, maybe during the pandemic, John Oliver had a long bit where he was basically sexually harassing Adam Driver. Okay. And Adam Driver called into the show, clearly in on the bit, being like, John, this is weird, right? Like, and he's like, he is funny, he is a funny dude. I don't think that's what he gravitates towards, but I think he's capable of it. And Mr. Sinister seems like a character where, I think back to Batman Forever when they had Jim Carrey playing the Riddler, versus Paul Dano playing the Riddler in the Batman.
Yeah.
Batman Forever is a weird movie for 1,000 reasons, but you can kind of imagine almost a middle ground where it's like if Jim Carrey's lunacy was anchored by a little bit more gravitas, or Paul Dano's gravitas had just like a little bit more like kind of insouciance, like almost like a Christoph Waltz, kind of play to the character. That middle ground opens up a lot of like really fun opportunities. I think that's part of why we all responded so well to Heath Ledger as the Joker, because like he had that lunacy, but he was also dead fucking serious sometimes. And I'm hoping Mr. Sinister is obviously a very different character than the Joker, but I'm hoping somehow in that vibe we get a little bit of the best of both worlds. With Adam Driver in the role.
I forget his exact name, his alias that he's using.
Nathaniel Philbrick or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
Philberry.
One of those last names, but like Eric had pointed out that that's the name he used in like when he was in the 90s and ran like an orphanage.
Yeah.
And so it's like a very specific era that we're looking at too. So yeah, maybe he starts off like just looking like him, but all the experiments he's doing to himself turns him into the more sinister look. I'm excited. I'm just excited to see how that's gonna pan out. I'm wondering.
I also like the idea of, if they are using that kind of orphanage era Sinister, and again, I'm so hung up on like what is Charles without Magneto.
Yeah.
But if they're contrasting like that orphanage with the School for the Gifted,
totally.
Like there's a one, I'm a sucker for symmetry, but two, like there's a nice storytelling opportunity there to be like, hey, like in the public's view, like what we're competing for is like, how do we properly introduce mutants to society? Mr. Sinister is probably going to be like, poke them full of needles and steal their powers, like, and Charles is like, let them grow. But I'm fundamentally excited by this. You had said something a few minutes ago about maybe part of the reason they held off on making this announcement was because papers were still being signed.
Yeah.
To that end, Indy Navarrete being Rogue, Obsession was not that long ago.
100%.
I mean, kudos to her for one, turning in such a phenomenal performance in that movie, and kudos to her team for capitalizing on it so quickly. But I wonder if it's the sort of thing where sometimes you can have the general shape of the story and go like, well, we know the sort of arc of the world and what we want like the overarching like, world plot to be, but we don't have the exact character stories yet. Like you might know that ultimately this is going to be a story, to use Star Wars as an example. You might know ultimately as a writer that this is going to be a story about a bunch of rebels versus the Empire. You can know that and write quite a bit of that story and block out a lot of the major beats without yet knowing that you're also going to have this like, kid Luke who's going to sort of step into this role as this chosen one, or you're going to have this rogue who's going to ultimately like, do the right thing and show up and save the day, and I wonder if Indy Navarete's casting is indicative that there are still pretty large character choices to be made for what is going to happen in this movie. There's plenty of time for that. But I was really excited to see her included in the cast, as I am an Obsession stan.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. Can I tell a quick Curry Barker story?
Okay, yeah.
I'm Curry Barker.
What are you doing here?
It's me.
What the heck?
It's me.
How did you do that?
No, so Curry Barker is working on a new film called, I believe it's called Anything But Ghosts or something like that.
Sure.
That's more comedic. A guy who my wife was very close friends with in college called her a couple weeks ago. He's in the movie.
Whoa.
And he was like, hey, Curry's doing a screening tonight at like an ADR studio of a very, very early cut. Do you want to come watch and give thoughts? And so she got to see a really early cut of this movie already. And it's like,
that's sick.
It's effects are not in place, all this sort of stuff. But she was worried about it because it was my birthday. And she was like, do you mind? Sure. She was like, I know it's your birthday, but like, do you mind if I go do this? And I was like, you have to go do that. Like, what a cool opportunity, you know?
Oh,
and so
yeah.
she has a picture of her with the biggest shit-eating grin.
That's so
standing with her
funny.
friend from college in Curry Barker.
That's so funny. That's great.
Yeah. Anyways, apparently he's a very nice guy.
I believe it. He seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's also funny. He's a funny guy.
Funny guy? Funny guy? Yeah. I know you're a Pokemon guy.
I do love my Pokemon.
I'm a collector guy.
Wow.
Courtyard is a nice intersection of those two things. When I used to collect Magic cards when I was a kid, it would always be like, cool, but now I have 2,000 forests. You know what I mean? Or like, you know, energy cards or whatever. Courtyard is a really great way to open card packs, but you kind of just get like the one good card.
Oh, sure.
And if it's a card you already have or a card you don't like, they store the actual card in a warehouse for you, and other people can make you offers for that card. And so if you want the card, they'll ship it to you. It's kept climate controlled. It's insured at market value and all that stuff. So there's no risk to you. And if someone else wants it, they can make you an offer for it, either a trade or a flat out purchase, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Because that way you don't have to like schlep your card collection around to a trade show. That's the thing I never had the time for. It was like, I would get really excited because I found like a rare, you know, Shivan Dragon or something. And then it would be like, but what am I going to do? You know, like,
it's true.
You know, so it's a nice way to do that.
And it feels a lot more convenient than having to just organize your cards in like a binder and just like, you know, there's so much junk. But I feel like this is a way to like clean up that process and make it way easier.
It's way easier. It's way more fun. You know, you have instant liquidity. You get a card you don't want it, you could just sell it right away or trade it for a card you do want. Also, it's like, it's Pokemon cards, it's sports cards, it's Magic cards. Coming soon, they're going to have sneakers.
Oh,
you can bid on watches.
Wow.
So, you know, it's really kind of expanding out the collectibles market. Yes, lots of card stuff, but also a ton of other stuff. And it seems like they're always kind of adding things. Everything is graded, slabbed, vaulted, you know, so you don't have to worry about it. 0% seller fees, 0% buyer fees on the marketplace. So you can, buy with confidence, enjoy the surprise of what you get. You don't got to worry about scalpers or fakes or any of this.
That's true.
Nonsense.
I think that's like maybe the worst part about buying things in real world is having to compete with scalpers.
It's also just, scalpers, quit being such dicks, man.
I'm saying.
Like, go back to concert tickets.
Well, okay, I don't know about that either, but
yeah. So we have a QR code you can scan if you want to try out Courtyard for yourself. If you use our code Breakroom15 at checkout, you can get 15% off your first purchase, your first pack. And thank you to Courtyard for sponsoring today's episode. Happy collecting. I did pull a couple packs, I should say, before we went live. I got a couple of sick Pokemon cards. I got a Snow Runt.
Cute.
Yeah, that was like really rad. And then I got a Squirtle where like I really like the art on the Squirtle. The Snow Runt is like a limited edition art, so it's a little cooler. The Squirtle, I'm like, the Squirtles are, you know, a little bit more common. So like, I'm probably going to trade in the Squirtle, but I'm just kind of hanging on to them in case someone wants them bad enough to make me a trade for something. I'll be like, yeah, that's better. You know, like, and I got my digital collection. I can access it whenever I like.
It's way more convenient to show people what's going on digitally than like a whole binder.
Yeah, I don't need a binder. But yeah, so just, you know, click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. Use code Breakroom15 at checkout to get 15% off your first purchase from Courtyard. And thanks, Courtyard, for sponsoring today's video. But anyways, that's just while we're touching on Indy Neverett.
I wonder do you think Indy Neverett's going to do the whole Southern rogue? Or do you think she's going to play it like just a regular person?
You know, I don't know, because Anna Paquin did like Light South.
Yeah.
You know, like Anna Paquin did like, well, I'm from Maryland, but, you know, my parents are from outside of Atlanta.
right.
You know, like that was like Anna Paquin's level of South. And then obviously we have Xmen 97 Rogue, which is like, oh, sugar, you ain't nothing but a knee-high to a plum dumpling, you know, whatever. I think something that Indy Neverett does really well in Obsession is, before she becomes, you know, possessed, is like, you know, there's a scene outside the bar when, you know, he's trying to like kind of get her to go home and they're all talking about something. And she has this moment where she's like makes a point and then does like a side eye to kind of no one in particular. That's just like a very fun kind of like, it's not like she's not really giving anybody shit. She's just kind of doing a very realistic take on like, are you kidding me? You know, kind of a thing.
Right.
And I think that if she can maintain that, I don't really care if she has like the world's biggest Southern accent. You know, like there are people in the South who don't sound like Dolly Parton. You know, like, and I think Rogue, certainly X-Men 97 Rogue is a little bit modeled on like, oh, sugar, you know, like that kind of a thing. I feel like that version of Rogue is a little bit central to my internal model of what a rogue is.
Sure.
But I don't think it is actually as critical to her character as this kind of self-imposed isolation because she's worried about hurting other people. You know,
100%.
like I think that's more important.
And then it's more of like the X-Men 97 Rogue, because there's been rogues of like different eras that I don't really remember the Southern accent part being like a huge thing. So I personally don't think she's gonna put on an accent. But I guess we'll see.
I'll say this: I think Rogue's Southern accent. I'm gonna get shit for this in comments. I don't care. I think Rogue's Southern accent is less central to her character than Harley Quinn's Mr. J. You know, like because I think with Harley Quinn, it's a little bit of like, oh, you were a psychologist and you got twisted by this guy.
Yeah.
Whereas with Rogue, I think that's like, hey, that's where you're from, you know, and it doesn't need to be as over the top. Maybe. I don't know. I'm already doubting myself.
I know. I think I see what you're saying. Because like, at least Harley Quinn, that accent is literally part of her character, kind of.
Yes. Yeah.
That kind of
that over the topness of it.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Rogue, she just is where she's from.
Yeah. She's just Southern. Yeah. So yeah, maybe we'll see. Do we get like deep Bama Rogue, or do we get like Delaware Water Gap Rogue? Like where on I-95 is Rogue from?
True.
You know, like maybe we get State of Maine Rogue. You know, she's like, oh, sure, Pa, tell you what. You know, like, oh, you're looking for the X Mansion. You're going to want to go down.
That would be crazy.
There's a house with a blue barn just off the interstate, and you want to take the third left past the blue barn. There's a lovely place that sells fresh eggs.
I literally can't imagine Indy doing that. That would actually be crazy.
You know, that's my luck. That's my luck. That's Berg's luck.
Okay.
Indy Navarrette's gonna do Old Man Maine Rogue.
Put that in the betting markets.
Yes. But yeah, so I thought, I mean, if that was all we got out of D23, it would have been pretty eventful. We also got a Vision Quest trailer.
Yes.
Which I'm intrigued by. You know, like I'm not blown away by it, but I am really curious about it. And part of my hesitance, I think, the thing that makes me excited for it is it seems like nobody told James Spader no at any point during any part of his prep for the character. Sure. It seems like James Spader showed up with a big beard and was like, Ultron, right? And everyone like, yes, sir, Mr. Spader.
Yeah, he has a beard.
You know, and it seems like he's like, what if I give Paul a kiss on the cheek and says Mazel Tov? Like, yes, sir, Mr. Spader. You know, like, you know, so that makes me intrigued just to see like, okay, James Spader's pretty fun. What happens if he's like fully off leash?
Yeah.
You know, and then there's also stuff in the trailer that I think is like potentially very promising of like, well, you know, clearly it's a little bit of like a soul searching for Vision. He's dealing with his relationship with his father while also dealing with his relationship with his son. There's a lot of nice symmetry there. But I don't have a clear enough sense of what the vibe of the show is based on the trailer, to be like super stoked on it.
Sure.
I'm curious about it.
Yeah.
I think fundamentally I am excited for it. It seems like it might be willing to do some of the weird philosophical stuff that wouldn't work in a movie but might work in a TV show, and I'd be very excited to see that. But I'm curious, what were your thoughts and sort of what was the vibe here when the Vision trailer got rolled out?
Yeah, I think it's I am pretty excited for it because I think it's going to the WandaVision trilogy that they're calling it.
Yeah.
Even though they are like pretty different, there is kind of like a vibe that like has a through line through it all.
Yeah, definitely.
Like WandaVision's like weird, like there's like a weird level of weirdness that they all have that's like a little uncanny, a little disturbing, but like intriguing that I feel that DNA coming through with this trailer.
Yes.
So I'm like, I really liked those two shows. I mean, WandaVision everyone liked, but Agatha All Along, I didn't think I'd like it, but it was a surprise hit. I was like, oh my god, like this actually worked for me.
You want to hear my hot take on Agatha All Along?
Oh god, I think so.
I really liked WandaVision. I did not like Agatha All Along.
Wow, you didn't like it?
I didn't like it.
It's not interesting.
I didn't like it.
Well, okay. Well, state your case.
One of the things I loved about WandaVision was the genre hopping of the first 4 episodes.
Yeah.
I thought made it really unique, really cool. Agatha All Along, which I was really excited for before it came out, because just Kathryn Hahn she's so good. She's so good, and Aubrey Plaza is so fun that I think like whenever they're together on camera, you kind of forget for a second that the story they're embedded in feels a little bit, it just felt a little bit inessential to me. The genre hopping felt a lot more forced. And I think because it was, it just felt, the show felt a little bit claustrophobic to me. I think that's by design, but I kind of felt like every episode was like, and now we solved the puzzle box of this room, and big surprise, it's going to be an emotional reveal for this witch, and it felt very repetitive to me, and because these were all characters I was just meeting and their stories felt so contained, I never really got very invested.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Would you not say that's like kind of how like network TV kind of is, where it's like, yeah, each episode is like, well, it's this character's episode, it's this character's episode.
I would, and I'll tell you this, I don't like most network TV.
Okay, well, okay.
Like I really, for someone who grew up on like, Seinfeld and, these like really like episodic sitcoms, which I can still go back and really enjoy. I think the storytelling milieu, for lack of a better word, especially with Marvel, has changed. I mean, Marvel's basically using a television production model on a film scale. And so when they come back to TV and they start being like, well, now we're going to like kind of isolate this into even smaller chunks, it felt to me like just not very interesting, and I never got emotionally invested. Whereas opposed with WandaVision, I was like, what is going on with this these TV genres, and where's it leading, and like what's real and what's not? With Agatha All Along, it was like, okay, yeah, well, here's this genre because it's this puzzle, and then at the end it was like, and there is no Witch's Road. I was like, okay, like fine, like it just didn't really hit for me.
I think that's fair. I think overall I still enjoyed the puzzly, like kind of what's going on aspect of it. There's enough of like, okay, so what's going on with the Tommy character? Is this like Tommy?
Yeah.
Or is this something else? Like, is this going to be Wiccan? Is Agatha doing it all along? The whole thing with Patti LuPone's character, like going in and out of timeline stuff, is a lot of fun. But yeah, I think still that vibe, the mystery vibe, I think is still going to be prominent.
Well, yeah, and one thing, like I'm not really trying to yuck anybody's yums, but
my yum,
dude,
kind of yucks right now.
I'm gonna yuck the shit out of your yum.
No,
dude, you better not even think about having a yum, because I'm gonna yuck the shit out of it. But I do think going into Vision Quest, if I was coming into Vision Quest off of WandaVision, I'd be like, hell yeah, what's up? Coming into it off of Agatha All Along, now I'm like, I don't know. So one of the things I am hoping for out of Vision Quest is that we get some of the like philosophical weirdness that's alluded to in the trailer, of like, there's a moment where Ultron says to Vision, Vision was like, well, I had a family, but they weren't real. And Ultron's like, weren't they? And it's like that kind of dialogue and exploring that kind of conversation is something that I think Vision is uniquely suited for.
Yeah.
And my hope is that Vision Quest winds up feeling like those like one-off, graphic novels you sometimes get where you're like, this isn't really connected to main continuity, but like this character is sort of the only one we can tell this weird sci-fi story through. And if that's what it winds up being, I'm so stoked.
Yeah.
But I'm not positive that's what it's going to be. You know, so I'm optimistic for it, I guess is what I'm saying.
I'm in that same boat. Mostly. That like I'm optimistic, and that interesting storytelling they can do with Vision of like, whether or not experiences that you've literally never experienced, but like kind of did, like how real is that?
Yeah.
The Ship of Theseus stuff that they've talked about.
I mean, that's what made, I don't know if you've ever seen Dark City. It probably came out 30 years before you were born.
I am 2 years old.
Alex Proyas's follow-up to The Crow, Jennifer Connelly, Rufus Sewell. The idea is that Rufus Sewell is a guy who lives in a city that is actually a giant experiment ground for these like weird alien monster things.
Okay.
And every night they inject new memories into people to see if your memories make you a new person. But he like wakes up halfway through the night one time and then has to like deal with all this stuff.
Oh, interesting.
It's a great sci-fi movie. But I feel like it got overshadowed because The Matrix came out a couple years later and like dealt with a lot of the same stuff, just kind of in a much bigger budget way. But you know, like those are kinds of stories that I love those kinds of sci-fi stories. I just reread Neuromancer over the weekend to prep for the Apple TV show. That has a lot of these kinds of elements in it. The book Blade Runner is based on Do Androids Dream of, or novella, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep has a lot of that kind of DNA. And so like, I'm hoping because Vision is so unique within the Marvel universe to have that kind of story draped upon him that we get that kind of DNA here.
Yeah. I also wonder if just generally with the cultural zeitgeist around AI being what it is, I wonder if that's going to affect how people read this. 100%.
You know, like it's impossible to separate any piece of art from the context in which it's viewed. Certainly by October, AI will not have gone anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm curious what Disney is very pro AI. I'm curious what kind of commentary, if any, this is going to take on it. I mean, and you know, Daredevil season 2 certainly seemed like it was going to have some political commentary on ICE and January 6th, but it was muddled at best.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think the show necessarily needs to have commentary on it, but certainly it kind of feels like a pedestal Disney could stand on. I don't think they will. I don't think they need to. But it does feel like an opportunity that maybe like a, you know, really ambitious creator could use.
Yeah.
We also got that sick ass Doomsday trailer.
Yeah, that was the trailer that they showed
at Comic-Con that we saw the crappy leak of.
Yeah, and then,
but now we got the non. Also, watching the non-crappy leak. So okay, so this Doomsday trailer that came out at D23 this weekend had a like truly dog shit leak right after Comic-Con.
Yeah,
and I watched the dog shit leak and then was like, well, I'll wait till the good one comes out. The good one came out and I watched it. My first thought, which is so dumb, was just like, man, this looks a lot better.
I mean, it does. It literally does.
Yeah, it does. It does.
It looks like how you're supposed to see it.
Yes. I mean, you know, and so I've already kind of had my emotional reaction to it, but seeing it like really, and this is why I haven't watched the Spider-Verse leak, because I've learned my lesson. You know, like I try to watch this leak so I can like be part of the conversation, but then I'm like, but the main conversation is this looks like crap, and I kind of want to wait to see the real one, you know? But this I thought looked great.
Yeah.
Just like the you know, the slow tear trickling down Sue's cheek as she's like telling everybody what happened to Doom. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be good.
Yeah, it's interesting because these trailers are very clearly painting Doom as like some ultimate villain. And I remember there was like just theories mulling around in the like fandom that we were gonna get the switcheroo of like Doom initially is gonna be like, I'm saving people, and at the end it's like, wait, he's actually Omega evil and like crazy. But it's going to be interesting where that it's not gonna be, I don't think it's gonna be a twist because all the marketing is about how evil Doom is.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go in and see Doom. Like, this guy's an evil guy. What's going on? So I guess it's more dramatic irony that they're trying to do.
You don't think there's gonna be a moment in the first act of the movie where he's holding a name tag, says Dr. Doom, and he turns it around and it says Mr. Mood? And everyone's like, oh, this guy's just here. He's just here to fucking Netflix and chill.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's just showing up with a 6-pack going like, hey, hear me out. There's an 80s action movie you haven't seen that's going to be fun as hell to rip on. Let's hang. You don't think that's going to happen?
I don't think so.
I think you're wrong.
Okay. Oh, mark it here. Right here.
Yeah.
Put in the comments. Timestamp this. We'll come back to it in a few months.
You don't think Doom's going to show up and be like, dude, trust me, let's watch Rumble in the Bronx.
That might happen. Anything's possible. I haven't read the script, so I have no idea. It's going to be because I wonder how much of what we saw in the trailer is going to be like Act 2, Act 3. Like, they rarely show Act 3 stuff in trailers at all, but at the same time, like, is the heel turn that we're predicting going to happen like closer to the beginning of the movie and it's the rest of it?
I think he's starting out with that heel turn.
He just starts off like, okay.
I think he's starting out with that heel turn. Like, I think if anything, it'll be, oh, hey, some bad things are happening. Oh, maybe there's like an incursion, maybe, whatever. Like, there's got to be some reason Gambit's fighting Shang-Chi, right?
Yeah.
Like, something bad is happening, and it might, for a little bit at the start of the movie, be like, oh, and the Xmen are blaming the Wakandans, and the Wakandans are blaming the Talakaneo. But then the Fantastic Four show up and go like, no, it's this guy who wants to watch Rumble in the Bronx.
You wouldn't believe it, but he's the bad guy.
Yeah. I think it's going to be pretty early on. We know he's bad. I mean, and when you go back and watch Infinity War, which I think is probably, the closest thing we have to a blueprint for how Doomsday will work, from the jump, it's like, here's Thanos. He's killing Heimdall. He's killing Loki. And I think we're going to get something similar with Doom.
I wonder too, man, it's like the trailer actually is making me have a lot more questions also, because in like the first trailer we gave that they gave us, Thor is like asking or telling the rest of the Avengers about like this Doom guy. He's freaking crazy. He's so scary. And it's like, where did he fight? So I'm like, is that assuming Thor fought sorry, I'm getting scrambled. The fight that we see in trailer 2, is that the fight that Thor is referring to when he's talking to the Avengers?
I think so. I try not, it's impossible working here to not do this, but I try, generally speaking, not to guess too much ahead.
Sure.
But I think that moment where Doom stops Stormbreaker is like, oh, Thor goes off to fight Doom on his own, gets his ass handed to him, goes to like gather, marshal the troops, and is like, there's no way we can do this. Then the Fantastic Four show up and Sue's like, he used to be nice. I can't do. That's a terrible Vanessa Kirby.
Vanessa Kirby's in the room right now.
He used to be nice.
She's a grandma voice.
Dude, here's the thing. Vanessa Kirby, I think, a very attractive lady. You might not realize she's 200 years old.
Oh my God.
And no work. No work.
Wow.
You know what her secret is? She hydrates. And then if you scroll down to the bottom of any local news article and they have all those like this Costco wrinkle cream, it's also that.
Okay. Costco wrinkle cream and hydration.
Yeah.
You know what? That's fair.
He was loving.
But now the reason I bring all this up is like, it's a little confusing to me, because where did Thor fight Doom that make sense other than like did the Fantastic Four call this Thor into their universe? Because when you look at the destruction that's happening, I think it's supposed to be New York, because there's a huge park in the middle that's clearly supposed to be Central Park.
Well, I'll have you know, Griffith Park is the largest municipal park in the nation, Brian. It's 9 times the size of Central Park.
It doesn't look like that. So I'm like, okay, because when Reed Richards is yelling at Doom in the destruction, that's clearly their universe, and Doom did something in their universe. But it also looks like Thor is fighting Doom in that universe. And that's the same Doom, Thor talking to our Avengers. What's going on in this movie? What's happening?
This is all
I'm
the
so
math.
confused.
This is all the math I'm like aggressively not trying to do so that I could just sit down opening day and be like, man, that looks like it was burnt to shit. Thor's over here now. You know, like
I'm just so confused. And maybe that's the point. Maybe they're just supposed to confuse us so that the marketing, so we talk about it.
Something I do like is, you know, I'm on camera having been annoyed since April that we haven't had a Doom trailer. I do like that now they're like, hey, we know you guys are excited about this movie. Here's some promo stuff. It's like, yes, you know, like it's very good. I'm excited to see it on a big screen.
Turns out it was just after Spider-Man. They're like, Spider-Man's done. Now we're gonna push this Doomsday thing.
Okay, so we got Doomsday. I'm trying to make through. This is a little behind the scenes. This is BRBTS. A couple weeks ago, Brian and I realized we recorded like a 90-minute episode without meaning to.
Right.
And after that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a better job of checking when we start so that if we do a 90-minute episode, it's on purpose. And Brian, I'm telling you now, I completely forgot.
I think we started like.
I think we've been going like about like 50 minutes so far. So last week we talked about Miracle Sheets. This week you've used Miracle Sheets.
Oh yeah.
What's the review of Miracle Sheets?
I'm surprised. I'm surprised how well it worked.
Right?
I'm saying.
I didn't think it could make much of a difference, and I was wrong.
It's like how much cooling a blanket can be. I have no idea, but it surprisingly it works really well. Here's the thing. I like putting blankets on no matter how hot it gets.
I need the weight.
Yeah, something about a blanket just feels cozy. And when it gets hot, I have to take off the blanket just because I have to. But I think with Miracle Sheets, I found a blanket that works even on a hot day.
Yeah, for me, I like it because with Miracle Sheets, they've got this NASA-inspired technology that helps regulate the temperature. So I can still have my weighted blanket on top of my sheets and not be like roasting. You know, and also the sheets are, you know, even when you're not sweating, just when you sleep, your body is disgusting. And, you know,
I'm saying
the sheets are also antibacterial. So like they always just feel better.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I just, when the times I have to travel, you know, like I was just on the East Coast dropping my daughter off and I had to stay in a hotel room for a night. And the sheets were comfortable, but like they just weren't, they just didn't, the temperature regulation thing is such a game changer for me. At this point, I'll never go off of Miracle. You know, like I never had a sheet brand in my head before. And now I'm like, no, I'm ride or die.
You're thinking about it. Yeah. I mean, honestly, the antibacterial thing, I didn't realize how the mental of like, oh man, I should have washed these sheets a while ago, but I'm so busy I can't. Yeah. But now I'm not as worried. I'm not as worried that this is going to be nasty.
No, Miracle Made sheets are just better. You know, it's like sometimes like someone recommends something to you and you're like, yeah, it's fine, but it's not any better than what I've got. Miracle Made sheets are better on every metric than the sheets I was using before that I got just from like the store or whatever. You know what I mean? And the nice thing is our viewers can now also learn the joys of Miracle Made sheets because we got a promo code here for you.
Yes.
Upgrade your sleep or give the gift of better rest to someone whose sleep could be upgraded. Go to trymiracle.com/breakroom to try Miracle Made sheets today. You'll save over 40. And when you use promo code Breakroom, again, promo code Breakroom, you'll get an extra 20% off plus a God, it's so hard to say, plus a free 3-piece towel set. They make an amazing gift, and you have a 30-day money-back guarantee. If for some reason you don't like them, I don't know why you wouldn't. There's no risk. So again, that's trymiracle.com/breakroom. Use code Breakroom at checkout. And thanks to Miracle Made for sponsoring today's episode.
The miracle is too good. You're going over your words.
I'm so excited to sleep. I can't say words good. Let us also talk about, the other kind of things that I want to talk about are the Xmen 97 wrapping up.
Yeah.
And now we have news for seasons 3 and season 4 coming out in successive years. Xmen 97 has been something I've been loving this season, but every time we go to talk about it on here, I'm like, I spent too long, you know, like, and we just never have a chance to get to it. Have you had a chance to watch the finale yet?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts looking at the season as a whole? What were your highs? What were your roses? What were your thorns?
I mean, the roses is the show in general is just beautiful. It's amazing to watch. Animation is great. I love the earnestness of everything. It really makes me like feel the characters' emotions when I'm watching them.
Yeah.
And yeah, this finale was like, maybe because I've been watching all of it together. I forget if did the X-Men battle happen in the second to last episode, or was that the last episode? Or the battle with
X-Men
Nightcrawler?
97. There's an X-Men battle every episode.
I mean, when Nightcrawler like beats everyone up.
That was when they were in Genosha. Or no, not Genosha. That was when Gambit was deaf because he like brain warped Nightcrawler for a little bit. Yeah.
And then this one was where the X-Force and
like
everyone
you got big guy
up.
like slamming into the building and stuff. Yeah.
No, I mean all these. I think just having all these different factions with different powers clashing together is always really. This is what would happen in this kind of world where like these kind of tensions exist. That and it's just like the overall like what's gonna happen to Gambit, like the clear sacrifice that like Rogue wants to give to like help the love of her life, I think is all like, I don't know, it's just beautiful storytelling.
I'll tell you, man, love the action in the final episode. Thought like that huge sequence was just like so fun. Love Cable just like shooting a laser through like 8 floors of tower. Awesome.
Yeah.
But the thing that really like just gut punched me was Nightcrawler being like, I have faith. Because it felt like after the Strangeland episode, when he had that trial and he, whisked Graydon Creed away, it felt like that. And again, this is because the show is so earnest, it's able to tell stories like this. It felt like Nightcrawler's faith had been rattled by what an unrepentant prick Graydon Creed was. And it felt like Nightcrawler sacrificing himself to the Celestial because he had faith was just like such a beautiful and simple way to be like, I trust it'll come out okay. Like, this is how devoted I am to this. Like I thought for me, I didn't realize that Nightcrawler was like the emotional through line of this season. And maybe he wasn't, but that moment at the end hit as hard as if every episode had been building up to it. And I thought that was absolutely phenomenal. I loved that.
Yeah. It's Nightcrawler. I think he was like, honestly, there's like, he was a lot more present in this season, like at least emotionally, that I think it really hit. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's like, this was like a pretty anti-doomer messaging of like when things are going wrong, things are like bad. A lot of people kind of fall into what's the philosophy?
Drinking their own piss.
Drinking their own pissism. Yeah,
Dude.
That's what I like to.
Yeah. Because you know how like, you watch the news and you're like, oh, cool, someone found a lost puppy. And then the next thing is like, oh, there's like 85 million pounds of rotting meat in Boyle Heights and the government's not helping. You go like, fuck, guess I got to drink my own piss.
That's what I think.
You go full Bear Grylls right away.
No, the nihilism. Like, I think people like default to nihilism sometimes when things get like really bad because they just like, what's the point of anything? We can't change anything. That I think the sacrifice Nightcrawler made because
and also that Rogue was willing to make.
And that Rogue was also willing to make for the better future because they had faith that it could work out is beautiful. It's a and it very like causes like action to happen. If Nightcrawler was like, you know what, F it, everything's gonna like suck anyway, he wouldn't have made that call. He wouldn't have made that play. But because he believes in the better future, that's what brings you to do something about it. Which I think that's great. I will say though, in terms of like, this kind of cuts the like the beautiful sacrifice of it all, where it was like, so Gambit sacrificed himself to like save as much of Genosha that he could.
Yeah.
And then Rogue was willing to sacrifice herself for him. But but there's like one person who keeps dying anyway all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then I know it's sad that Nightcrawler died, but then like nobody's like, we gotta save Nightcrawler now. Like everyone, like Rogue was like, I'm gonna do anything I can to bring back Gambit, and then Nightcrawler. Well, I guess he's dead.
Yeah, everyone's he's dead. Yeah, tough break.
I guess.
You're like, the guy who kept trying to get me to go to church with him is dead.
Whatever, man. Whatever.
But then there is the post-credit sequence of the season with Mystique taking over the Val Cooper personality, and Mystique famously threw Nightcrawler in a river, so not winning any awards for mother. She doesn't have a sweatshirt that says #1 mom.
Oh yeah.
But maybe she is someone who would avenge or try to take care of Nightcrawler's death. And I do think I could see that having a significant impact on Rogue as well.
Yeah.
We just ended the season before we could get to it. And now like one of the real questions hanging over season 3 is Beau DeMayo, obviously very instrumental in the first 2 seasons, fired by Marvel in one of the most opaque and weird firings, which is not helped by how much Beau DeMayo is like, I'm going to hop on OnlyFans and explain this. It's like, okay, so I don't really know what happened there. I'm not trying to speak on what happened there, but Beau DeMayo will not be involved at all in seasons 3 and 4. Based on the credits, the writing credits in the episodes, it seems like Beau DeMayo was very heavily involved in season 2. Creatively, I thought seasons 1 and 2 were fantastic. Yeah. It'll be curious to see what happens next season without Beau DeMayo's involvement.
Yeah.
I do not subscribe to auteur theory. Particularly on TV shows, it's such a team effort. But that's not to say that somebody in a showrunner position or a high-level writer position can't leave a very indelible imprint on that work. So I'm very curious to see what happens with his absence. I love the show. I think it's in great shape. I'm excited to see what it does next, but I'm just curious as well.
I mean, it's like, say what you will about the guy, like his love for the X-Men and the series, I think is very clear in this revival of the animated series.
Yes.
It's we're gonna have to see if the next showrunner is able to carry that through, which I think they will. I think the people working on the show, like the entire team, loves the show. Yeah, I think that is also evident.
Well, and it's also for those outside the industry, like a showrunner is in the room. They're helping craft the overall shape of the stories. They're pitching individual character moments. They're pitching individual lines. They're frequently writing episodes. But arguably their more important job is keeping things moving forward, keeping it on budget. They're kind of the go-between between like the creatives and the studio. That kind of politicking is its own weird skill set that is very separate from anything creative, and so, for instance, just to give an example, Adventure Time, which was created by Pendleton Ward. Pendleton Ward was the showrunner for the first several seasons, eventually stepped down as showrunner.
Yeah, sure.
Because the politicking and stuff made him miserable. And he was like, I just want to write and draw silly things and be creative. So it's unclear how much of what made X-Men 97 work is that ability to interface with Marvel Studios, and how much of it is what Beau DeMayo is bringing creatively to the room. Whatever the mix is, I think seasons 1 and 2, it obviously very much worked. I don't think either of those skills are so unique to any one person that they can't be replaced either by another person or by a team of people who have different strengths in those areas. But it'll just be different. Yeah.
I think so too. But I'm excited for season 3 and 4.
So stoked.
So excited.
So stoked. And stoked that they're coming soon.
Yeah.
I'm also really liking this regular release cadence they've got going on.
Seems like for animation, they're making X-Men their like their normal thing, and then they're making Daredevil their like one live action thing. So
hey, I'm 50% on board.
There you go.
Yeah, you know, and I also am really curious what happens to X-Men 97, you know, because we have seasons 3 and 4 have been announced, 2027, 2028 respectively. What happens in 2028 to X-Men 97 after the X-Men Mutant Saga is taking over the MCU on camera? Do they sunset X-Men 97 by going like, hey, we had like 4 really good seasons. We wrapped that story up, you know, like we're going to tell future stories with the mutants on camera. Or do they keep it going and have a separate continuity?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think aesthetically, stylistically, in all ways, X-Men 97 is so distinct from anything Marvel has ever put on camera. I don't think it would be confusing to have those 2 separate continuities going, but it would be something Marvel hasn't done before, and I'm not certain they're going to do it.
Yeah. I was thinking about it like literally just as you were talking right now.
Best time to think.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to shut him off. I'm going to only think of, I can't think right
just
now.
Like, just wait. He'll tire himself out.
They have been doing that with Spider-Man.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And other like Spider-Man shows that have been happening while the Spider-Man movies are going on. But I will say Spider-Man is kind of in a different league. So in the fact that like Spider-Man isn't just Marvel, he just almost is like his own thing.
Yeah.
That it kind of works out that way. And I think X-Men for a while was in that tier, but we just haven't seen a lot of X-Men in years.
I think a lot of people my age, so late 70s, early 80s.
Right.
But you know, a lot of like the elder millennial crew who grew up with X-Men 97 as like a Saturday morning cartoon or whatever, grew up reading X-Men, were so stoked for X and X2. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I felt very burned by the quality of a lot of the X-Men movies. And, you know, what was the one that came out after Days of Future Past? It was like Wolverine Origins was so bad. And then
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
And then X-Men First Class was so good that you kind of got this like whiplash where instead of showing up opening weekend, you'd be like, I got to hold off and see what the vibe is from people I know personally. I can't trust Rotten Tomatoes. You know, like I'm not succumbing to the wisdom of the masses. I need someone I know who's already seen it. And X-Men 97 is just reminding me what I love about the X-Men so much. And I'm really, really hoping that Jake Schreier is able to bring some of that back to the big screen as well.
And I guess to cap it, the Lantern Show has finally been debuted. I really like the show. Is great.
It's fantastic.
I really like it. And it's way more. Because I remember when it was all marketed and the whole like joke about like
where's the green,
and even the showrunners were like, oh, you know, it's like Green Lantern's kind of dumb, you know, with the stupid green stuff. And then that had the whole controversy with the original writer being like, why are we always embarrassed about comic book stuff?
Yeah.
Like the show isn't embarrassed about being a comic book thing. Like it's just the people living in it live in that world.
Yeah.
Like the Lanterns are part of this world, as is all the like superhero stuff.
And very much like, this isn't your jurisdiction. There's no aliens. There's aliens. Like it's like such like I'm really liking it. It is, you know, the closest analog to me is the Penguin in that the Penguin was DC going, what if we told a Sopranos story with DC characters? This feels like, well, what if we told a True Detective story with DC characters? And I won't say what happens at the end of the episode because, you know, it'll be Tuesday. I don't blame anybody who hasn't seen it like 48 hours later. But I will say it's a bold choice given how it was marketed to end the episode the way they did.
Yeah, right.
And it's a bold enough choice that it makes me really excited to see where the rest of the season goes. It feels like they're probably going to mirror the structure of True Detective season 3 a little bit, the season with Mahershala Ali and Stephen Dorff. where they're kind of jumping back and forth. I mean, I guess they all do that to some degree, but
yeah, right.
But I just thought it was great. I thought Kelly MacDonald was great. Was that actress's name? Yeah, Kelly MacDonald, right?
I'm not bad at names.
But I thought she was really great. I think that Kyle Chandler is doing a great job playing like washed up is the wrong word, but just like he's kind of the epitome of never meet your heroes.
Yeah.
He's disappointing.
Yeah.
He's disappointing, but he's disappointing in a very human way. You know, it's not over the top. Yeah. It's just Jon Stewart has clearly grown up being like idolizing this guy, and then you meet him and he's human.
Right.
You know, like he's just a guy. You know, he's kind of a schmuck.
And as much as like he has this like sense of responsibility of like what he needs to do as a Green Lantern, it is also like, look, if you were a person and then you got hoisted onto this job with all this responsibility, and you have been doing it for years now.
Yeah.
The small stuff you're not going to care about. You're just going to kind of do whatever you want because you're a Green Lantern.
It's the same way that like cops will put on their sirens to just get through a busy intersection.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. Yeah. Good. I'm glad you have enough funding to buy military vehicles.
True.
You know, like
true.
But yeah, so I'm really liking it, and it does feel a little bit, you know, if I had a criticism of the show, and it's a very minor one, it's that I feel like television right now feels like it is just soaked with neo-Westerns. It feels like the Taylor Sheridan, you know, sort of explosion has taken over everything. And so as a setting, that's a little bit less interesting to me than it would be if it were even just in a different part of the country.
Sure, yeah.
Such a minor beef. Fundamentally, it's doing everything I want it to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm really liking it. I'm really liking Aaron Pierre's, you know, sort of just like exasperated babysitter sort of a vibe.
Actually, also what's interesting about Aaron Pierre's like rendition of this character of Jon Stewart is like, or like the choice they made. What do you think about the fact that in the beginning, his father basically like took him out to fear test him with like shooting a gun with the apple on his head?
It's called going full William Tell. It's a Swiss legend. I know it well. I was raised on William Tell.
but like, it's this like I'm like, oh wait, for some reason his dad is kind of training him to become a Green Lantern.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a really interesting thing to happen in this world where like the idea of a Green Lantern had kind of just existed, or maybe did his father know? Because like he's training him to be without fear, because fear is what that's like the test that the ring will give you. I'm like, whoa, why is this dad like teaching him? It's like so adamantly about this fear thing, and like so into this idea of who the Green Lantern is. I'm very curious how that's going to resolve.
You know, my read on it, and I have to preface this by saying I never read any Green Lantern comics as a kid. I never really understood the Green Lantern power set. I'm aware of them loosely, but I can't speak to any comic book storyline Jon Stewart was a part of or any origin there, because I just don't know.
Yeah.
But the impression that I got from the first episode of the series was that whether or not a Green Lantern existed in this world, Jon Stewart's father would have been training him to be a soldier. And the fact that a Green Lantern does exist in this world means like, well, I was always going to train you to be the best of the best, but now that means I have to train you to be this. I think that guy probably would have been shooting apples off his kid's head regardless.
So?
I do. I really do. I think it would have just been like okay, you want to be tough? Let's make you tough.
Sure.
You know, kind of a thing. You know, and I want to preface the story I'm about to tell by saying, like, I never trained to be a Green Lantern.
Okay.
But I had a grandfather who was nuts. Fun nuts, but also
nuts nonetheless.
Fun nuts, but did take his own life at the end of the day. So, you know, It was he was a complex individual.
Sure.
And I remember when I was a kid, I must have been 12 at the oldest. There was one winter where it was like a pretty brutal winter in Ohio. I went out there to visit him for a week. I didn't have my parents with me. And my father used to say to me, you can't hang out with your grandpa Bob unless there's another adult around.
Okay.
Because Bob was so dangerous. Fireworks, three-wheelers,
sure.
All sorts of nonsense. Anyway, so he had this piece of property out in the middle of the woods with a small lake, large pond on it that had frozen over completely. And he was like, do you want to go out on the ATV and get dragged around in an inner tube? And I was like, absolutely. It sounds like so much fun. So he goes out and he drags me around on the inner tube. And then I finished and he's like, okay, my turn. And I'm like, I don't know how to, I don't know how to drive an ATV. I don't know how to drive an ATV on the ice. Like there was like an ice fishing, like old fish, like fire pile with sticks we had to avoid. I was like terrified. And he was like, you got driven around, God damn it. Now you're going to drive me around. And so I did. And I had to learn how to drive him around on the ice, fishtailing and having it whip out and learning to control the skid and stuff. And I learned, but that's, and again, can't stress enough, that's not something you need to know how to do to be a Green Lantern.
Right.
That's just something you need to know how to do to be a gosser, But so I read that scene with the apple and the shooting being like, fine, you want to do this thing? We're going to do it. I'm not going to baby you. You're old enough. This is the same guy. We don't need to get into Grandpa Bob's story time. I want to underscore.
I love it.
I was so close with my Grandpa Bob. I have a tattoo. I got a tattoo when he passed. But this is the same guy who, when I was 13 or 14, we were out at this same lake, and he was like, "Do you drink?" And I was like, "No." He's
I'm 14.
Yeah, I was young. He's like, "You don't drink." He's like, "You're gonna drink today. We're gonna drink Jägermeister, and you're gonna learn how to sing Schnitzelbank." And pulled out a thing of Jägermeister from the freezer, then taught me this Swiss drinking song, which everyone knows from Animaniacs, but the actual, I only know the lyrics in Schweizerdeutsch, but it's like, ist das nicht ein Schnitzelbank? Ja, das ist ein Schnitzelbank. Ist das nicht ein Hin und Her? Ja, das ist ein Hin und Her. Hin und Her, Schnitzelbank. Oh, du Schönheit an der Wand. And you take a shot of Jägermeister. This is I'm doing shots of Jaeger at 3 p.m. when I'm 14 because my grandfather was like, "You're old enough,"
Right.
So I think that's what John Stewart's father is kind of like. He's sort of like, look, you want to be a Green Lantern, whether or you want to be like me when you grow up. Here's how we do it. I'm going to scare the shit out of you now so that you're tough enough for everything to follow.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it could just be regular father trying to make my kid tough.
Well. I think shooting an apple off that goes beyond regular.
Yeah, well, I guess
I don't want to speak to your childhood.
I don't mean by regular in that this is what every parent does, but as if this was a story without Green Lanterns and this character still did something like this, it wouldn't be oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Or it's not crazy specifically because of Green Lantern. It's just this person might just be the type of person who does that.
Yeah. And then there also happens to be a Green Lantern. So it's well, now you're not just trying to be the best Marine you can be or whatever. You're trying to be the Green Lantern.
It is funny that there's only one Green Lantern that we know that happens at a time where it's funny that if it's the fact that he's kind of helping him become the Green Lantern, it's well, if you're going to be something, you're going to be the best of it. So it's if you're going to be a politician, be the president instead of just a mayor of a town. And I don't know if I'm reading too much into it. I think there's a really interesting thing where in the conversation that John was having with, I assume, his father while he was walking on the road after he got car crashed, where he's talking to his dad, and he's like, "Dude, this guy almost tried to kill me." He's like, "No, you know how these people are." But it's I remember the conversation being something like, "We have to work harder. We have to be more respectful. We have to be more blah blah blah." And it was very much I think talking about the race of it all.
But that was my read on it as well. Yeah.
And so it's this idea that I think that's going to be another fun layer to the storytelling of like, yeah, Hal Jordan kind of just got into this role.
It fell into his lap.
It fell into his lap.
He's got white privilege Green Lantern.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
You know what I mean? Like,
and yeah, that Jon Stewart has to be better than that to be the same level of him, which I think is another layer of this is going to be is like both he's my mentor. There's like a dynamic with that, or like he's the green, like he's junior, he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Plus there's like a race dynamic that I think could be really interesting. And the whole thing of like, is he trying to get like this fear? This isn't in the trailers, so it's not really a spoiler. Where like, oh, is he gonna replace him? Is he really training him to be like the substitute teacher, or is he gonna be his replacement?
Yeah,
this whole like weird dynamic that's going on that I'm really excited to unravel like the rest of the season.
A small moment I clocked in the first episode of Lanterns that I really liked is the only time Hal Jordan praises Jon Stewart is when it's revealed that Jon Stewart slept with that guy's wife. That's the only time Hal Jordan's like, nice, like, and it's not
even 24 hours.
It's like not a huge character moment, but I do think it speaks volumes to they're misaligned fundamentally on what the job is.
Yeah.
Hal Jordan kind of wants like another partner in crime. Jon Stewart wants to be like the best, like, most rigid, kind of law and order Green Lantern possible. And that trope is well worn. It has a lot of history to it, but I'm excited to see it play out in this context with these actors who I also really like. Yeah.
So I honestly, this first episode, and even though there's not a whole lot of power stuff happening, it's still enough to make it feel lived in. Which is honestly, I know we talked about how like the whole point of the marketing initially was to like get the non-superhero people in, to make kind of not trick them, but to be like, this is still going to be a show about like a detective story.
It's not something that it's a more inclusive way of marketing it to non-genre nerds.
At the same time, I kind of. Well, okay, they did do the power super. Never mind. I'm gonna cross out everything. They did do the superpowered trailer later to really be like, oh, it's still gonna be a superhero
there's Manhunters.
Thing. Yeah. But this show is, I think, unapologetically still a superhero show. And so, like, if you were worried about like if they were like gonna be, it's not gonna have enough powers. It's gonna be just true crime, but with the skin of Green Lanterns. Like, I don't think so.
I think for me, the most superhero-y scene in the show, which didn't feature any powers, was the interrogation of the alien.
Yeah, right.
That scene for me, and like Hal Jordan going like, you're from rural Nebraska and those are all your thoughts on Barack Hussein Obama, like
yeah.
That for me spoke to a level of experience with aliens on Hal Jordan's part. And just like a kind of matter of factness of like, and they're part of this world, and I'm pretty sure you're one guy.
Yeah.
And then when that actor who was playing the alien kind of leans forward and was like, let's say hypothetically that was the case, like that for me was kind of the most superhero-y moment of the whole show. Like, he made a bottle opener. Yeah, he made a $20 bill. Yeah, he flew away. But like, that to me was like, oh, that's the take. Like that's how they're going to solve this crime is like there will be powers.
Yes.
But fundamentally it's going to come down to like, hey, he knows the ropes and now Jon Stewart's coming in and I don't want to speak about the end of the episode in case anyone hasn't seen it yet, but I'm excited for it. I mean, it's definitely Sunday night viewing for me.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm super on board.
Yeah.
And just because it's near the end of the episode, we'll do a little spoiler talk just for this part. So if you want to skip ahead, you can skip ahead. I mean, the fact that they at the end they revealed like they jumped to the current time, Hal Jordan he just died. He's just dead there.
What? I was lying when I said I had watched the whole episode earlier.
I'm out of here.
You what? Come here, bud. What happened to you?
I leaned back a little bit and then I fell. All right, let that be a lesson. Don't react ever to things.
Oh my God, just imagine all the people who missed that because they didn't want to hear spoilers.
True.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I don't even know where I'm probably not in focus anymore.
Oh my God.
Whatever. That looks focused enough.
Oh my God, that was hilarious.
Anyway.
Incredible.
Anyway.
Absolutely incredible. Brian fell backwards out of his chair like a big
he did
ass.
it. It was cool. It was on purpose. It was cool on purpose.
Yes. Eric, yes, they did.
We got a good story.
Yes, they did.
Oh boy. Anyway.
That commotion was so much that Eric and Patty just popped in from the other room to make sure everything was okay.
And it's not. Okay, I'm embarrassed now.
Yeah.
I'm never uploading this video.
Oh no, you know that's going at the top. That's like before we even say like, hey, welcome. We just gif it, clip it.
Anyway.
But anyway, so you're saying at the end of the episode, the fact that they kill off Hal Jordan.
Yeah. First of all, or just the way that just revealed it like out the gate right there.
Yeah.
Because I think, at least for me, I had an assumption that something happened to Hal just because Guy Gardner exists.
Yes.
And I know the rules between like whether or not there's one lantern per section is like, sometimes it's like a thing. I think before it used to be like only one, but then it expanded. Regardless, I figured the fact that the Green Lantern we have in the current era is Guy Gardner, that something must have happened to Hal. And so the revealing that he died makes me think like, when he died, did the ring go to Guy Gardner after? That's going to be a really interesting thing because like it's in the story, it's now been 10 years since his like training days.
Yeah.
And so like after all this time, he still isn't able to get the ring. That's going to be another wrinkle into the story.
It's also a little bit like, I don't know the internal politics of the Lantern Corps, but it does feel a little bit like, oh, hey, is Hal Jordan the guy you're going to trust to fill out all the paperwork so that if something happens to him, like,
sure,
it goes to Jon Stewart? He's not, because when we meet his, like, his hologram, as it's called, that hasn't been backed up recently enough.
Right.
Right. It could be like very much a thing where it's like, hey, it really should have gone to John, but it went to Guy Gardner, and now there's a thing there. I don't know, but I think just for a show to... Kyle Chandler's a huge name. For a show to market it as being a two-hander between Kyle Jordan and Aaron Pierre, and then kill off Kyle Jordan at the end of the first episode, yes, obviously there are tons of flashbacks we will do. Kyle Chandler is still going to be a very prominent part of this show, but as a viewer, you're certainly not expecting him to get killed off at the end of the first episode.
Yeah.
That's a really ballsy storytelling choice, and I hope it speaks to more ballsy choices happening soon. It's the kind of thing that would knock you out of your seat.
I actually almost fell again.
We're gonna have to put crash pads back there for you.
Honestly, though, it actually wasn't too bad because this is pretty cushiony, so it kind of.
It was also, at least from my perspective, it was kind of a slow motion fall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I broke the fall a little bit. It was fine. It was fine.
Yeah.
And I think it also, for me, honestly, maybe it's just been like the media I've been watching lately, but dramatic irony is fun. It's just like. To know that he's dead, and now to be like, what happened? Either like because he's dead in that same spot or in the same location as in 2016. But like, does this mean that he was put there? Did he die recently? Did he die somewhere in 2016 and his body was kept somewhere? Like, there's so many mysteries that now I'm curious to unravel. Because there's not only just like there's like a bunch of mysteries now. Like, what happened to him?
Well,
what
it's
happened
also
to the aliens?
crazy
What happened
because Hal Jordan is dead, but he's sitting upright in a seat without falling backwards. So like, how does that work?
Did he? That's the thing. Like, did he just sit there? Like, I guess I'm dead now.
Was he? I wonder if he's got like, those like punching bags that like you punch him and they come back. Like he's got like a bunch of sand in his feet. So like you just can't knock him over.
Or maybe he got frozen. It is snowing. Did he freeze? Maybe he froze.
But yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for Lanterns. I mean, I know that with Xmen 97, we got so caught up in Comic-Con and D23 that we like barely had any time to talk about it week by week. I'm hoping now that we're past D23, the news slows down a little bit, And we can get into Lanterns because I really enjoyed the first episode of it.
Yeah. I'm excited to keep covering it.
Yeah,
we're gonna. That's the thing. See, here's the thing about the break room. It's what we want to talk about on the break room.
Yeah.
And right now, we want to talk Lanterns.
We want to talk Lanterns. We're gonna talk Lanterns. Both wore green today.
That's true.
Didn't even plan on it. I have 3 colors of shirts. So, we have like a 33% chance.
I also do like the color green. So there's a higher chance for that.
There you go.
But it worked out.
Okay. Anything else before we wrap up the episode? I know you highlighted a couple comments here.
Yeah. Do you want to go some comments?
Yeah. So a lot of people got mad at me/us for not covering Spider-Man the second it came out. Which was my fault because I had promised my 9-year-old nephew I would see it with him. And I stand by that. I'm very sorry to our audience, but I put my family first, But John Bolton, I9P said, I am with Berg. I watched it with my 9-year-old nephew, and his enthusiasm made it way better.
Yeah.
And but that's part of what I love about seeing movies in theaters is like there is a kind of bleed you get from other people's excitement, and it goes in both directions. We've all seen a movie with someone you're sitting next to and they're clearly not liking it and it sucks.
Yeah.
Seeing Spider-Man with my 9-year-old nephew was awesome. Yeah. I highly recommend it.
Get yourself a 9-year-old nephew. Rewatch Spider-Man.
Yeah, in 9 years there will be another Spider-Man. So start convincing your siblings to have a kid now. But that was super cool.
And I also just I just saw a lot of people talking about the reaction to Sadie Sink.
Yes, there was a lot of discussion around that.
It's interesting that like a lot of people on the comments seem to have an audience that had a lot of cheers and people recognized it.
Yeah.
One person, Impact by Toss, says, I live in New York City and our audience cheered opening weekend when it was Jean Grey. Molly Warden 840 said, my opening audience was pretty shocked. I was not. One guy actually yelled, no effing way though, which is it's so crazy to me that I don't know. It's maybe the places you guys are at had more of like a fandom audience. I did go in like the middle of the day, like
my theater, it got no reaction. Which leads me to a comment from Serge Merto 256. Saying, you say the marketing decision of not revealing Sadie Sink was not successful. This is something I said, and I stand by it. But Serge Merito makes the point, and I think this is a valid point. But look at the hundreds of videos and thousands of tweets people have made speculating about her role for the past year. You guys yourselves discuss theories of her being Rachel Summers and other possible characters. It might be the single most impactful marketing decision since No Way Home. Now, I do disagree with Serge, but maybe not for the reason you think. And Serge, if you're watching, I'm not trying to start a beef or an argument here because I think Serge does raise a great point. That marketing decision generated a ton of free publicity in the form of speculation by outlets such as ours. The reason, however, I don't think it was an effective marketing decision is because I don't think it helped that story beat for people watching the movie.
Yeah.
Now, those are two different ways to evaluate a marketing decision. I think Serge is absolutely right that it generated a ton of speculation. Yeah. And so I'm not trying to be like, no, I think that's a really solid point. But I think for me, the point I was trying to make was like, when I was watching that movie, I'm coming to that movie with the context of the marketing. And that moment felt like it was one that was meant to be impactful and was not.
Yeah.
By virtue of that reveal not happening in the marketing and happening in the movie. Yeah. And so I disagree, but I did want to call that out because I thought that was a different take on it. And I thought it was thoughtful. And I think Serge raises a good point there. And so, yeah.
I agree. It's like, I'm at the, I think that the marketing decision to make it like a whole game thing where Sadie Sink would be like, I'm playing beep, 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 censored. I'm like, come on, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Where I thought it was like a little too corny. But like, and I don't think it really served the story of the movie in a way that was interesting because like her being Jean Grey wasn't necessarily like, it wasn't like a twist later. It wasn't even really a twist. It just was a reveal.
It was just kind of a reveal,
where it's like, oh, if you know who Jean Grey is, like, oh, that's Jean Grey.
Yeah, and if not, then not. Yeah.
And if not, then not. But I do think, I didn't really think about, actually, even just making that silly, even the fact that it was hidden at all forced people to like talk about it. Like, well, who could she be? Who could she be? And then when it was revealed, like, oh my God, it really was Jean Grey. And so I guess if the point of marketing is to like have people talk about it, have it like, go have conversations, I think it was successful. But did it serve the movie? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I think it probably, yes. I think it was probably successful in generating buzz. I think for me, the point of marketing is to put the viewer in a mindset to maximize the impact of the film. So for instance, with Avengers Doomsday, right? This most recent trailer that Marvel released, the impact of that is to have you coming into the film knowing everyone is terrified of Doom.
Yeah.
That makes you more terrified of Doom.
Right.
That makes the things that primes you. There's a psychological phenomenon called priming, where if you show two groups of people the exact same stimulus, maybe it's an odor, maybe you're giving them like a cookie or something, and you tell one group of people this tastes bad or smells bad, you tell another group of people this tastes good or smells good, that'll influence their taste of it, And so with the new trailer for Doom, I'm going to go into that movie on some level already subliminally being more terrified of Doom than I would have been without that trailer.
Yeah.
That to me is effective marketing. Whether or not that trailer generates buzz, I think is also a factor of marketing. But for me, that kind of buzz and conversation, because I'm not really active on social media, isn't a part of the marketing experience that I'm particularly affected by, despite sitting here and affecting everyone else by it. I recognize my hypocrisy
we're in
this
the
matter.
system, but we're not partaking in it.
But it's not, I'm not like on Twitter scrolling threads or stuff like that most of the time.
Sorry, you're on
Twitter.
Yeah, I'm not on Twitter and scrolling threads.
Whatever.
For sure.
Hey, back in my day, you had a web ring, and there would be like 17 pages on movies, and you'd click at the bottom of one, and it would move you to page number 16, and you never knew who ran the web ring, but it was a good thing to be on the web ring.
True.
Anyways, I had a GeoCities page. What about it? Programmed it in HTML myself.
Wow.
But yeah, so anyway, I want to raise that up because there were a couple other people making similar comments, but I thought Serge did it most articulately. I think it's a good point.
Yeah. And I think that's all the time we have for today.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. If you skipped the spoiler section, after you watch Lanterns, go back. I shit you not, Brian fell out of his chair, and it's worth watching, even if you get spoiled.
That's the thing. They're gonna now that they are here, they're gonna watch it because you said that, and they're gonna get spoiled.
There's still a spoiler there, but it might be worth it to see what happens to Brian.
Okay.
But thank you so much for watching. We will be back next week covering more Lanterns, more nerd news. If you're not already, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Breakroom NR. On TikTok, we're Breakroom Official.
We're the Breakroom Official.
The Breakroom Official. Please leave comments. I was off last week, so I didn't get to respond to as many as I normally do, but I try to be in there, keep those conversations going pretty actively. If you feel like supporting us, buy a tee or some merch at nerdriot.shop. One of these days, we are going to have enough bandwidth to actually get some GG merch going.
One of these days.
And very soon, we'll be out of rat poison in the office, and GG will be able to come back to the office.
That's the goal.
I almost brought her today, but then there's one trap left, and she'll find it.
There's still poison.
And she'll eat it. This dog eats cat shit recreationally. I can't trust her around.
I mean, that's fair. I think that's fair.
I don't think it is fair.
And she's...
I don't think it's fair. I have to pull it out of her mouth, then she's mad at me. Now my hand's covered in slobbery cat shit.
And the thing is, Gigi is also kind of like of huge rat size. So
she
gonna
is.
Be a problem. It's gonna be a problem.
She's a lumpus. I love her. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. We'll be back next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. All
Dude,
right.
that shit is so fucking funny. That shit is so fucking funny.
Super slapstick.